Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be finishing the display cabinet. I've not done this type of work in 15 years, so I'm taking this display cabinet and trying to restore it to something usable for our new shop. I think it's going to be a good beginner project to help me get back into the swing of things, especially since it was going to be thrown out anyways. The challenging part will be covering up the holes left by the mechanical parts from the latch and the knob and removing the 4 layers of white paint. Since the paint removal will be the most time-consuming part, that's where we're going to start. I'm going to be using a scouring pad disc on the grinder to remove the paint from the flat surfaces. The goal here is to remove the paint, but keep the door looking its age, giving it a more southwest rustic look. If I was trying to make the door look brand new, I would use a heavy grit sandpaper to remove all the paint and imperfections. Now that I'm done, you can see that I left streaks of white within the cracks and grooves of the wood. The scouring disc did not grind down too much of the wood and did not leave any deep scratches either. I do not use the grinder on the bars of the door. The paint is deep in the grooves and the grinder would have damaged the design of the bars. I want to show off the detail of the bars, but also leave some of the paint in the deeper parts of the grooves. To do this, I'm going to be using an industrial strength paint remover. Even though this is my project, my father can't help himself and has to get involved. He's dabbing on the paint remover with a brush to make sure that it gets into the grooves. This material is highly corrosive and will cause a burning sensation when touching your skin, so please be careful when using any type of paint remover. It takes about 10 to 20 minutes for the paint remover to do its job. You want to make sure you do not leave it on for too long or it will start to dry. I'll be using a wire brush and steel wool to remove the loose material, and since there are multiple layers of paint, I will need to do this process multiple times until I get to the desired result. As I was applying the paint remover, I decided I wanted to remove the top bars so that the top opening matched the bottom. After asking my dad's opinion, he instantly picked up a saw and started cutting. So here's what we have so far. I'm happy with how much paint has been removed. Again, I still want to leave hints of the original paint, but still show the original wood underneath, and the detailed molding of the bars as well. I really like the symmetry of the cabinet now that the top bars were removed. You have a large display shelf at the bottom, and now you have one at the top. Now that the paint removal process is done, it is time to start working on the large holes. And we're going to start with the large hole in the side. This part I needed my father's help with. He starts by measuring the space and then tracing the outline of where he's going to cut on a new piece of wood, before moving over to the table saw. Since I was 8 years old, I've been coming to my father's shop on and off for 36 years. In that time, I've never gotten tired of watching him work. You can see the confidence he has when using these tools. That level of skill and confidence only comes with time and practice. If I were to try and do this, I'd probably mess up multiple times before I got the right result. Or worse, cutting myself and going to the hospital. During my spare time, I plan to practice cutting different angles on pieces of wood that are just laying around the shop. Now that he's done cutting the shape, you will move over to the miter saw to cut the correct length. This sure saved me a lot of time, because he got it right the first time. I used a wood putty to fill in the holes on the face of the door, and also to cover the cracks on the patch that my father created. Now that we're done with the holes, I'm going to prep the cabinet for staining. I'm using a 100 grit sandpaper and a block sander to smooth out the wood and remove any excess putty around the holes to help hide the patches. Since I'm going to paint the inside white, I wanted a darker stain for contrast. After the stain, I applied 2 coats of white paint to the inside of the cabinet and then sealed it with 2 coats of wipe-on polyurethane. And here's the end result. Oh yeah, I forgot. I added a smart LED strip to the inside of the cabinet. The strip I use is from Govee and is both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled. During this project, there was a lot of starting and stopping and client work that needed to be done. Overall, it took me about 4 to 5 hours of actual labor spread across 2 days. Now that it's done, I'm kind of happy with the end result. There are things that I would have done differently, but overall, I think it came out okay. Please let me know what you think of the project or what you would have done differently in the comments below. Now I'll leave you with a video of my dog Caramel doing her job at the shop. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone.